Now to our next story. The XL bully ban comes into place this Sunday, meaning that dogs must be neutered, kept on a lead, muzzled in public and can't be bred or sold. However, a Freedom of Information request shows that nearly 2,000 exemption applications were made in 1 week, raising questions about how prepared authorities are in charge of enforcing these changes. Joining me now is dog behaviourist Jo Cottrell. Jo, good afternoon to you. The fact that there's, I nearly had to read that line again, 2,000 applications for exemptions. I didn't even know 2,000 of these dogs existed. This is clearly a more popular breed than perhaps we knew.
Yes, I mean, you've got a combination of responsible dog owners owning these breeds as well as non-responsible dog owners owning these breeds. But they are a popular breed because they are actually a loving, friendly dog if they're brought up in the right way, if they're trained correctly. They are actually a really loving dog.
Isn't the problem with the lovely dog like that, and I've known people who've owned similar kind of breeds, the sort of thing you look at and think it could probably take your throat out if it wanted to, but it's actually lovely. And the apocryphal story of, the little kid that sits on the back of it and it takes them around the living room and they play and it looks after the fam, all of that. The problem is, I guess, Jo, is that if one of these things does decide to turn, it's game over.
Yeah, I mean, they're big dogs. They're 50 to 70 kilos. Their bite pressure is approximately 220 psi. So if they get into a fight, they're really difficult to manage and take control of. So you have to take that into account when you're adopting one of these dogs. And you have to be responsible and you have to train them so that they're respectful around and socialized around people and other dogs. But at the end of the day, they are an animal. They live in a survival instinct. And as soon as that survival in their eyes is threatened or challenged, they will go into fight, flight, avoid, freeze behavior like any other dog.
Yeah. But isn't that, and dogs can have moments of unpredictability no matter what the breed. I've got a cockapoo, and if she decides to get the hump, I mean, she never has, and she does that play thing where she, latches onto your hand and it's all quite fun.
Yes.
But if she, if something happened neurologically and she turned, I'm pretty sure I could win the battle with the cockapoo. I wouldn't be able to win the battle with an XL bully.
Exactly. And I think that's the core message, is that because these dogs are so strong, if they do go into defense fight mode or aggressive behavior, they are really difficult to manage and get a hold of. And to be respectful to XL bully owners, I've got a couple of dogs in my pack that I just naturally have a muzzle on them in public places. They stay on lead, they have a muzzle on, they don't enjoy their walk any less, but they are under control and they're just kept safe so that if anything arose where they felt challenged and they went into that defense fight behavior, everybody's kept safe by having a muzzle on, having them on lead. Because even if you have a dog on lead, they can pull out of your hands very quickly.
Of course.
And if they haven't got a muzzle on,
and nobody should be arguing against that, should they? I mean, that's a very, I go on dog walks every single day, and I see lots of dogs that are on. I talked to a woman with an Alsatian the other day. Another example of a dog that, if it turned, could cause an awful lot of damage. But it was muzzled and the dog was fine. Yes. I could even stroke the dog with the... It wasn't as if it was trying to bite me under the muzzle or anything like that. But she just did that because that's clearly a precautionary measure. It's not a big ask, is it, dog owners to do that?
It's not, but some people find it very difficult mentally, because they have this hang up about the image it portrays and gives their dog. It makes people think their dog is aggressive, or they worry that the dog will be uncomfortable wearing it. But I think at the end of the day, they're animals, they're dogs. They will get used to wearing a muzzle. I guess the tricky thing with trying to muzzle an XL bully is, at the moment, the muzzles that are on the market are very difficult to fit to an XL bully, because an XL bully has a very wide jaw, but a very kind of small snout. Right. And some of the muzzles that are available don't fit XL bullies that well. So you would have to, in my opinion, get them specially made so that they're comfortable for your dog. but it's doable. It's a way of being able to keep your dog alive.
Yep.
That's the message, first of all, is that you can keep your dog alive. You just have to abide by these regulations, which is just going to keep everybody safe.
It's fair to say, though, isn't it, Jo, that the irredeemable reality is that there are people that own these breeds that really shouldn't be owning, frankly, a budgie, because they're not on script with everything we've just talked about. That includes the conditions that your home is in, or the size of your home as well, and of course how you train them and what you buy them for. And we know that for some people it's a kind of badge of honor. It's a bit of a status symbol. We had it back in the 90s when people were walking around with Rottweilers or whatever the breed was, with the suit of armor on the sort of, the big animals that were, again, owned for similar reasons. There's still too much of that. How do we legislate against that? Because that's not really part of this discussion, is it? Who owns one? It's what you do when you do own one.
Yeah, and the problem is those types of people that own these dogs are never going to abide by any laws that you put down. They're just not. So you're always going to have to be dealing with that criminal world of these dogs being bred in the underworld and being used for dog fighting and being used for criminal behavior. That's always going to continue, just like it does with other things in life.
Indeed.
So,
Jo, listen, I'd step in for no other reason than time, but thank you. We'll speak again, I'm sure. Jo Cottrell with us, dog behaviourist, on that issue of XL bullies and the potential ban.